What's up, guys? Guys, this is Maddie from Discord chats. I just thought I'd make a video really quickly going through the valuations of lands and how much new investors should expect to pay if they want to invest in certain areas. How to choose which parcels to buy and how much to buy them for. Obviously, you don't want to get ripped off. This video is to supplement the article that I wrote called "How to Not Get Ripped Off Buying Your First Digital Land in Decentraland." So about me, first, I'm a investor into Decentraland. I've got about 40 parcels and a bunch of mana. I started not having anything, and I kind of got involved after the first auction. So I missed the first auction, which is where this map was first opened up to everyone, and everyone could kind of bid against each other to own a piece of the whole map. And at the end of the auction, which I think ran for, I don't know, I think it was some weeks that this auction ran for, and the winning bid for each parcel kind of got ownership of that parcel. So different places around the map are worth different prices. Obviously, it's based on supply and demand. Generally speaking, it is. Wait a second. Generally speaking, the rarer that piece of land is, the more expensive it is. Let me just open this up again. Yeah, so it probably comes to no surprise that the most center, just like living anywhere in the world, the more central you are to any place, the higher the prices are, just because the traffic in those areas are a lot more. So people are right now. This world is all very speculative. At the end of the day, the prices has been determined by people bidding against each other. Visiting nonfungible.com, which is the history, one of the community members made this website so you can track the sales that are happening and how much lands are actually selling for. You can click on the eye icon and you can see that lands in this area have sold for that much, and you'll kind of see a pattern here. So if I go to this land here, this is kind of pretty central. So this is Central Genesis Plaza, but it's not touching the main road. Sold for 35,000 mana, right? Which one is this one? 21,000. This is touching a double road. Sold for 21,000 mana. I've written a kind of general rule for how much you should be expecting to buy or sell your parcel. So touching Center Genesis Plaza, 150,000 to 400,000. These first set of prices is different to this second set of prices. The first set is going through, if you want to sell your land really quickly, how much you should price it for, how much you can expect to sell it for. This is to sell your land within like the first 1 or 2 days. If you're willing to wait a bit and wait for the right investor, obviously you can sell your land for a bit more expensive. It's touching Genesis Plaza. I've seen sales happen between 250,000, even up to 1.2 million, I think. Mana, we're talking mana tokens. But anyway, let's start with, I'm just going to go through like the most expensive areas to the least expensive areas. If you want to match it up with exactly how much you should be spending, you can come to this blog post of mine and just check it out anytime you want. Okay, so basically this is the Central Genesis Plaza. Touching the Genesis Plaza on any side of these main roads is worth pretty damn expensive. If you're touching Genesis Plaza and you're touching a main road, then you've got a pretty damn expensive land. So 12, this coordinate here, -12, -1. Oh wait, that's the road one. I think it's -2. Yep. You can see it sold for 380,000 mana. The first price that you see in transaction history is the price that it sold for in the initial auction. So, if you've got a high price there, then it's worth quite a lot of money. This one touching the South Road, South Main Road, and the plaza sold for 600,000 mana. Whew. So you can see those were the most expensive lands. The ones that aren't touching the main roads but are still touching Genesis Plaza, it's hard to click. You can see, if I scroll down, sold for 150,000, so it's obviously not as expensive, but still pretty damn expensive. And then as you go further and further away from the center, the less expensive it gets. So the closer you get to districts, obviously the price changes, and if you're touching other main roads, etc., etc. But generally speaking, the most expensive are the ones touching Genesis Plaza and the main roads here. If you want a parcel touching Genesis Plaza these days, right now, What's the date now? It's like the 14th of March, April, May. I think it is the 14th of May. So 2018. Right now prices you can expect to get around this center would probably be like 500,000 mana to a mil. If you want to get one touching this and this, probably the cheapest one you can get is this one here for 2 million mana, which is pretty reasonable. That's like probably the best seat in the house. One touching this and that, so you can expect it to be pretty damn expensive. The further away you get, so let's see this one. What do we have here? 30 -2, 2.6 million mana. These are what people have listed it for sale. So obviously, just because you've listed it for 100 million mana doesn't mean it's going to sell for that. Sometimes you get ones that are pretty fairly priced. I've got a land here. This is my land here. 226. I'm selling it for 140,000 mana. So it's pretty expensive, but relative to these areas, it's the cheapest one touching a main road and close to the center. A double main road close to the center. I think the next one you've got is one of these. What's this one? 120,000. So that's cheaper than mine. I think this one's 99, not 390. So I remember when listing that, I was looking at the pricing and I was like, oh, these are all like hundreds of thousands. Mine's going north and you can't really get to the north area from any other road except for this one. So it's going to catch all the traffic going north. That's why I priced it at that. I reckon I could probably sell it if I priced it at 120,000, but I'm going to wait a bit to see if it sells. Mind you, I bought that for 65,000 mana through a private deal. So I actually messaged someone who was selling it and I bargained with them and they listed it and I bought it off them straight away at the agreed price, which was 65,000 mana. So I know I want to make some profit. I reckon I could still sell it for at least 100,000 mana. So I'm going to try and make about 50,000 mana, 40,000 mana profit with it. Anyway, moving on. So those are double roads, all right? So the kind of hierarchy of roads is that these double roads and single roads. Anything touching a double road usually sells between 20 to say 50k mana. I'm not talking about the ones in the first 50 to 50 section. I'm going to talk about the ones touching these main roads or touching these main roads. Again, I've got another one touching this. I'm selling it for 30k. I've seen them sell for between 25 to about 45k. Touching any double main road. I think the ones at the top here are probably the cheapest ones you're going to get touching a double main road. Where is it? I think I saw one. No, can't find it. 68, 150. Pretty expensive at the end of the day. Like you can see, like the way I price mine is like way below market value, but I try and buy them below that, like way below even what I would buy it for. And that's how I kind of ensure that I make a profit from it. Alright, so yeah, anything touching these main roads, like a price for me that I would be willing to buy it for is between 20 to about 40k. I bought one just recently touching Vegas. So the one I bought was touching Vegas. I know Vegas is one of the most popular districts in the whole of Decentraland. If I were to go through this map, then Vegas would probably be one of the most, if not the most, pretty even with Ethereum project. So this is another big project. This is another big project. Dragon City is really big amongst the Chinese community who are in WeChat. So I don't really know what's going on there because I don't frequent WeChat, but I'm assuming there's a lot happening. So lands touching this usually sell for about 15k mana, 15 to 30k mana. One's touching Vegas. I just bought one for 30k. It's touching a double road and it's touching Vegas. So for me, 30k, I reckon I could probably sell it for 60k. Again, scarcity is one of the main things you should look at. So touching Genesis Plaza Center is obviously a limited amount there. So that's why it's sold for a lot. Touching these other Genesis Plazas, you can probably expect to buy them from about 40,000 to about 100,000 mana. Haven't really seen a difference between Genesis Plazas up here and down here. Obviously, there's more spots around here compared to here because these ones are touched by districts, so there's not many available. They might be more expensive if you do get ones up here because you're surrounded by districts. I bought one luckily for about 20,000 mana back in the day, and I sold it for 150,000 mana, touching this Genesis Plaza. One of the best deals I ever made. I bought another one for 50,000 mana recently, like about few weeks ago. It's for sale for about 120,000 mana. I'm expecting to sell it for about 80,000 mana as the project picks up a bit. So that's that. If you go next on the hierarchy, so we've covered the double roads from the center, we've covered the center Genesis Plaza, we've pretty much covered the other Genesis Plazas, other double roads. The next kind of valuable lands are single road parcels, right? So if you're touching a single road, any one of these squiggly lines, any one of these lines here, any one of these lines, obviously the closer to the center, the more expensive you can expect to sell or buy them for. Like this is a minus 50 to 50 in the coordinate spectrum. Once touching the single roads in these areas, pretty expensive. They sell for between, I think the cheapest one I've seen sell for about 16k mana, which was about down here somewhere. The more expensive ones are about 50k mana, which are closer to the center, about here somewhere. About here to here, you can probably expect to sell it for 50 to 40k. Around here is about 30k mana. Alright, if you can get it below that, you've probably got a good deal, touching the single roads. Not touching any roads, so if you're getting it in the open space, so I've got a few lands about here and here, not touching any single roads, but pretty close to the center plaza. I've listed them for about 10k mana and they still haven't sold yet, so there's not much value for parcels that aren't touching any roads. I try and fill my portfolio with things that are touching roads because they're more scarce, and I can't really be bothered dealing with lands that aren't touching any main roads, unless I get it with like a package deal or something. But or if it's pretty close to a good district like Tech City. I really like Tech City and Crypto Valley, which is aiming to become like a Silicon Valley, but digital, and like there's a pretty big investment firms that have invested in this district. So anything here, I wouldn't mind spending a bit more mana on, or anything close to Vegas, or I guess Ethereum or Dragon City. But I don't know, like for some reason the lands that I have here just haven't sold for that much. But yeah, let's just stick to the hierarchy. So yeah, after the double roads and Genesis Plazas, I guess the more expensive ones are after the single roads. So yeah, if you're touching the roads, you're touching the roads here and here, you can expect to buy them for about between 20 to 50k mana. Touching the roads here, a bit further down, so this is probably the furthermost point you're going to get from any districts and anything central. So you can expect it pretty cheap here. I've got about 20 lands touching both of these roads, both of these sets of kind of areas, and I'm trying to sell them for between 10 to 12k. I remember when Decentraland wasn't as popular and people weren't dumping lands. There's so many lands under 10k now, but back in the day there was only like maybe 5 or 10 lands below 10k mana. So I was selling lands for about 13 to 15k mana that were touching single roads, and people were buying them. Now because there's so much supply and people are selling a ton of lands, the prices have dropped a bit. So I can probably expect to sell it for about 10 to 11k mana, 10 to 12k mana, depending on where it is. Touching the single roads. If you're touching the main road here, you can probably sell it for a bit more. Then, if you're touching this is a kind of a estate near Fashion Street, so you can expect to sell it for a bit more if you're touching a single road that's close to Fashion Street. Up here, I sold one for 15k mana. I sold another land touching this estate here, which is between Vegas City and Decentraland University. So one of these areas over here, I sold that for, I think it was 20k mana. And then I've got another one I'm trying to sell for 15k mana. I'm probably going to lose 5k on that, because I bought another one for 20k mana. I think I'll sell it for 30k, but a bit oversight from me. What other single road areas do you have? You got these here, but they're pretty much bunched in with these. And probably so single road parcels. I try and aim for things below market value, because obviously I want to make a profit. So I try and buy them for about 6 to 8k mana. More central the better. I try and do like bulk deals, so if I can buy like 10 to 15 at a time, usually I can get a really good deal and sell them slowly over time. Oh, another really good area is this, because again, limited amount of supply, right? Between Red Light District and Fashion Street, which are two pretty big districts, there's only a bunch of lands that are going to be touching these single roads. So if you can get it in between here, I think you can probably expect to buy or sell for between 15 and 25k mana. If you're going for no roads, so like parcels that are in the middle of nowhere, pretty much, you probably buy them in these areas for about 8 to 12k mana. If you're buying parcels in this area, obviously there's a ton of open space here. People are probably selling lands for between 5 and 7k mana around here. If you go really to the edge of the area, you'll probably see them for 6k mana. That's kind of the prices I aim for. Some of the Districts I like Vegas City, Ethereum project. I like this area here. This is just like a tech area. There's like engineering park, battleground, a crypto valley. I'm an entrepreneur, obviously, and I really like business kind of trade type things. So I'll try and stay involved in tech communities. So I try and invest in here. I'm assuming this areas. There's not many parcels in this area, so I've got about 4 or 5 in this area. Trying to sell them for 15K mana each. It depends on really what you're interested in at the end of the day. What type of the projects are you interested in? There's like a haunted district over here, which would probably be pretty fun. There's a festival land, which will have probably roller coasters and stuff. Each one of these parcels are 10 by 10 meters, so it's pretty decent size if you think about it. Considering that you can build 30 meters high or whatever that limit is, I don't know if that's the exact number, but it's pretty high above. If you have 2 or 3 parcels next to each other, like you can build a ton of stuff. Yeah. What else is there to talk about? When you're buying a land, just be wary of the sold prices. Try and look at other parcels around that area, how much they've sold for. So if you go down here, I'm going to try and make a bit of a valuator kind of calculator type thing that I'm going to be putting on my blog, where you can just type in your coordinate and it'll spit out a price, an estimated price of what it's sell for. That's kind of with the developers, and it's kind of in the making. I'll be making that. It's not really an official tool. It's something that I thought might be useful for the community. Yes. So if you're here, if you click on any of these parcels, I think this is a parcel that's sold. Nope. So that's all for 1,000 mana. I'm trying to find one that has a bit more of a transactional history. So I think this one. Yep. Which lands have exchanged hands? Now 4,700 mana that one sold for. 3,500 mana. I can't really find, but anyway, the value that you're going to get, like I said before, it's the one that was contributed to in the auction. Prices since then has obviously increased quite a lot, so you can't expect to buy another plot similar to this mana anytime soon. Just because this was sold for that back then, you're going to expect to buy a bit more of a premium because you're buying it a bit later, right? You missed the boat. I missed the boat. I had to pay a bit of a premium, but I got in relatively early. If you're getting in now, even if you're getting in now, you're pretty early anyway. But yeah, you try and find a plot under $1,000. I think you can't go wrong between any parcel. Yeah, so even if you get a really far away parcel for like, I don't know, for $400 or $500 just because mana value is at that price, then you never know where this project's gonna go. In terms of my investment, like I've diversified myself into lands and mana token. I feel like the more mana goes up, the more people are willing to sell their lands for a bit more cheaper in terms of the mana value. So a 10,000 mana land might be dumped at about 7,000 mana just because the fiat value is a bit more expensive. And the seller's happy because he's getting more fiat because mana tokens increased since last time he's listed it. But at the end of the day, like as this project gets more popular, I feel like the mana token will increase. And as more people want to invest and the project gets more popular in general, the use of the project, then the land value will increase. So it's a double win. Yeah, good luck for new investors. Follow non-fungible for a while if you want to invest. If you're still new and you want to get used to the pricing, just figure out what things are worth and where, and you'll see some opportunities. Sometimes you'll see, like the other day, I think there was a land sold accidentally for 21 mana, and I know someone refunded that. Some nice dude refunded that a land back to the seller because he knew it was a mistake. But sometimes you'll get lands that sell for like 2,000 mana, 3,000 mana, just because people want to get rid of it. And if you buy that and you sell it for like 6,000, 7,000 mana, then you make a bit of a profit, right? What was this one? 21,000 mana. Yeah, so that's near the Vegas area, like I told you, up here. Yeah, up here, so touching the road, 21,000. Yeah, play around with it, keep researching, and good luck.